Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Shoe Podcast, the only sneaker podcast that is performing at the halftime at the Super Bowl. I'm your co-host, Ryan Landry.
Move over, SZA. I'm your co-host, Tanner Young.
That's right. It's got to be us and Kendrick up there doing They Not Like Us.
Ooh. You think he's going to do it?
He's got to do it.
You think so?
That's the one. That's the song.
I mean, it is, but it's done by Apple. I see. I've heard a lot of people. They're like, but it's done by Apple Music. Drake's an Apple Music, artist. So I don't know.
Imagine the whole Superdome screaming mustard at the same time. Society has peaked right there. Yeah.
Okay. I just want that to happen. As long as that happens,
that moment has to. Yeah.
Oh man. Instead of, how Katy Perry had Left Shark.
Yeah.
What if it's just he's just got like a guy dressed up as
sponsored by Apple Music and Heinz equally. Yeah, the two of them went in on it. That'd be good.
I'd be pumped.
Yeah. Well, another week back here to talk about shoes again, most specifically the most anticipated sneaker moments of 2025. A little later than I think we'd like to get to this, but because some of this stuff has already started to get in motion a little bit, but still some of the bigger moments that I think we have to look forward to this year.
I agree. I'm perusing right here. I'm really excited, specifically for 1B.
1B. Look at him on the outline here. So let's break it down for the people. We have three main topics we're going to get into tonight. The first one, Salehe Bembury and Puma, their partnership. What's to come of that? The second one, Adidas basketball. Is this going to be another big year for them with the AE2 potentially coming out? And is Fear of God Athletics going to find their footing, find their stride, pun intended? And then 3, Nike and Jordan Brand opening up the Disney vault of retros and saying, you get a Jordan, you get a Jordan, you get a Jordan, everything that's supposed to be releasing this year. I think those are 3 of the biggest kind of movements, occurrences, not specific one releases happening this year, at least that we know about at this point.
Yeah, I am excited. I mean, Salehe is always someone you want to keep an eye on. Mm-hmm. I mean, kind of doing some wild stuff. I feel like last release that we got from Salehe was weird. The New Balance release. The
1500?
Yeah.
Not out yet, but yeah, last one. Well, I think on the day this episode drops or the day after this episode drops, it will be out. But yes.
So, but still, obviously from what we've had from Salehe, very, very interesting. Adidas last year, real big. Really hoping they keep earning that third stripe for this one.
Oh.
There you go.
Yeah.
Big year for this one. And then, hey, vaults are made to be cracked open, baby.
That's right. There's only one reason for it. Actually, I just remembered we have one bit of housekeeping to follow up on from last week's episode. Do you remember what it is?
Swipe or no swiping? Oh, man. Was it the question I asked? Oh, here we go.
Jordan 3 Retro, the Valentine's Day. So for those of you who missed last week's episode, we on there had a bit where we were going back and forth on whether this shoe was going to sell out. Would it resell for more than retail? I said no. I said this is not selling out. This is not going to resell for more than retail. And Tanner said, absolutely. This is going off the shelves. People are pulling on the Cameron Pink Mink. People are getting fits off this year. And I'm here to report now. That's the ask. We got to look at.
That's ask. Yeah. No, I got
market data. The sales. Come on now. Come on. Don't make me hold, please. We're not going to put the login data here on. Sorry, listeners. A better podcast would have this ready.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, maybe good.
I just clicked
El Diablo.
What's El Diablo? You talking about GOAT?
Well, there were 666 pairs sold.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't even catch that. Okay, so here we go. Okay, sale price above and below. We have both.
Okay. Yeah.
More aboves than below, though I will say people selling at this price, the payout they're getting is less than they paid for this shoe at retail. I think technically you've won this bet because
you know what? I'll consider this a draw.
This is it's squarely in between. It's not as clear of a blowout as either of us thought it would be. So
yeah, I'll give this one. I'm okay with giving this one a draw.
Okay, there you have it.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. For our actual episode, though, should we get back to it? Oh,
No, that was it.
we didn't say that was the whole episode. Roll the outro. We did say at the top, thank you for tuning into another week of Shoe Podcast. If you're not already, please consider subscribing, liking, following, leaving the review. Leave the review at the end of the episode once you know if we're actually worth it. But consider it.
I mean, but I feel like we are.
Yeah. I mean, we just did the bet. If you like gambling, wait, hold on. Hang on. We should not
Super Bowl
promote
Sunday.
it. We should not promote it. Hang on. All right. Let's talk about Salehe Bembury and Puma. Water break.
Oh, there you go. Boy, I mean, talk about, we got heat on the feet. We got brain underneath.
It
Lord
really does.
Mercy.
Yeah, that first colorway of the what is that?
One,
the Puma
right?
Nitro. Yeah, the fact that they did the thumbprint and in pink there, looking very brainiac on the feet.
100%. Give that thing a lobotomy.
A little bit of backstory for those of you who haven't been keeping up with this. The partnership between Salehe Bembury and Puma was announced July 2024 during the Paris Olympics. And the first look we got was this one that's on the screen right now. This custom Puma Nitro that he was wearing at the time that said like made for Salehe or something like that. Orange shoe with, again, like the pink, his signature thumbprint, embossed, debossed, whatever it is on the midsole, but in pink, looking like a brain right there. And then just this year, like within the last month, we're so short into it, this colorway he debuted on his Instagram, which is kind of more of a runner style silhouette here, but in this green with a blue midsole on it. And I like that they took, I don't know what Puma calls their logo here, just the stripe, the on the side, but I like this sort of like Thanos snap disintegrating thing that we got going on here.
Yeah. I really like this silhouette. I think it really works.
They're very similar, but which one? This Nitro or the other one? The actual like debut? Okay.
Yeah, the actual debut. I think this fits super well for a running shoe. I think it fits Puma. Super great. Weird take. I typically don't like that blue on the midsole, but with that green colorway, and then I think also it being more looking like a running shoe rather than like I'm wearing it for fashion, I'm really digging it.
Yeah, okay. You kind of like it on this one?
It makes me want to run.
Okay. Wow.
Like
only Salehe could.
Only Salehe could. So I really like, and I agree. I like the take on the Puma logo on the shoe to kind of also fit more to Salehe.
Yeah.
And I really like that. I think that is kind of, I think why so many people are really into Salehe's products is because how much he gets to play with all aspects of the shoe and how much the brand really lets him take off. So I really like it. I think it's a really good, just clean looking running shoe. I like the colorway. I like I don't know what you would call it. Not a cage, but I mean, what would you?
Oh, sort of that like exoskeleton on the upper of the shoe that has like that darker green on top of the lighter green. Yeah, I don't know if it's doing much for actual structural support or if it's more like design, but yeah, that kind of like top layer on it. Yeah, I like that aspect of it. I was a little surprised to see this because again, it does look more like a runner silhouette. I think a lot of the mainstream sneaker media sources are calling it a runner silhouette, but I'm pretty sure when the partnership was announced, it was more so aimed at like Salehe Bembury and Puma basketball. Like I thought he was going to be doing a lot more of like performance basketball wear, which granted, maybe this still is, or maybe he's doing more than just that. I don't know, but kind of just caught me off guard. The colorway still not for me. I mean, the thing that I like about Salehe and appreciate about Salehe is the design language and how he pushes it and gets weird with it. And so sometimes what he does on shoes is kind of like I like that on someone else, but not on me sort of thing. So this might fall more into that camp. But the thing I was curious to talk about, which it kind of sounds like we've got your answer already, was that I think we're not saying anything surprising here to say that Puma does not have the reputation for being the hottest sneaker brand, like the coolest sneaker brand.
Correct.
Not by any stretch. Do we think Salehe, even Salehe, like one of the heavy hitters of collaborations, can do enough to make Pumas cool and have people wanting to get them and selling them out?
Selling them out, I mean, might be tough. Maybe. I mean, obviously he did that with Crocs. I think
that's such a good point.
I think for the people that are into running and, maybe having like a shoe specific for the gym, I think that that is the market that they're really gonna hit their stride with. I'm sure for all the like runner influencers out there, I think you're gonna see a lot of them. If that's kind of the algorithm you've built, I think you're gonna see a lot of the Puma Salehe. Because like you said, I mean, he does. I mean, he did that with Crocs.
That's the thing. I feel like you made such a good point without maybe even necessarily realizing is that I think what's going to move this Puma product is just Salehe's following. Like, I don't know that anyone who's not already kind of into Salehe or already big on Puma is going to see this and be like, oh, I just want to get that just cause. But like, before you even mentioned Crocs, I was prepared to be like, no, Salehe, not even Salehe's going to be the one to make Puma cool. And no shots against Salehe. Like, I love his work so much, but I just don't see it happening. Puma. But yeah, had you asked me, what is it now, 5 years ago? Hey, do you think any collaborator could make Crocs cool to sneakerhead? To be like, no, they're Crocs. Like, that's, people are going to have them and like be embarrassed to wear them or like not ashamed to wear them, but they're not going to be like a cool thing. But Salehe made them cool. So
100%.
Dang, you've got me reconsidering this.
Pulling up to the cross country meet with the Salehe Bembury Crocs to take those off to put on the Salehe Bembury Pumas.
Just from one Bembury to the other there,
Ooh.
Head to toe running in like the puffer vest and like the jacket on top
100%.
of it. Yeah.
100%. Supreme bib, everything.
Woo. That'd be tough. That'd be a tough look. All right. Well, more surprising than I thought. I was prepared to write these off. I mean, still, I'm not running after this first colorway here, but you've got me thinking of it with a little bit more of an open mind now. I'm still not sold on Puma, but I could see the tides turning.
Fair. I think that's fair. Like I said, it is definitely a very, it's a runner. So, hey, put on these bad boys while you walk in sky. Come on now.
Oh, around the neighborhood more. We have to take her to the vet today. That's a whole story I'll tell you afterwards. Not an emergency sort of thing. She's doing all right.
Okay.
But, I'll tell you now on the air. Why not? We're already here. Last time we brought her, our dog Sky is not good with other dogs. So last time we brought her to the vet, she's great with people, by the way, if you ever want to meet her. Last time we brought her to the vet, they were like, we're going to give her anxiety medication for the next time you bring her in. So today was her very first time taking that. When I tell you that Astroworld might have been written about our dog, the way she was rolling stargazing on the kitchen floor this morning, we got back from the vet. She is not a stay at one place all day kind of dog. When I tell you from like 10:30 a.m. to 4 p.m., she laid in one spot on the kitchen tile. She was on a different planet, my guy.
Yeah.
Shout out Sky.
And now Sky's just another victim to the opioid addiction.
It very much, I was looking at it, I was like, I am so sad about this because like you just don't seem like yourself right now. But
let me tell you what, if any prize shoes are gone missing, Sky has hawked them.
She's got a new addiction to feed.
She has fenced those bad boys.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about Adidas basketball here. So first topic to start with, Anthony Edwards. I almost called him. I just have it in the outline AE2, and so I almost called him Adidas Edwards, but Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards, obviously the driving force behind Adidas basketball last year with the AE1. A great silhouette, but on top of that, the marketing campaign, they went all out for it. And so rumored, but not confirmed to be releasing this year, that AE2, and here is possibly what it might be looking like. Do you think there's a world in which the AE2 follows up on the success of the AE1, and what does it take for them to do that? What do they need to do differently?
I don't know. I don't think this one will be as if this is the silhouette.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to have the traction like the AE1 had.
It very much reminds me, it's getting closer to like the Yeezy 700 minivans with like the all solid one piece upper, or like the Vamp on the front kind of feels like 700 ish. Like, I feel like I'm seeing a little bit more of that design language.
I don't know. It just seems, it seems like we're going more like a retro like early 2000s
Yeah.
look rather than kind of like the AE1, which is more of like a futuristic kind of looking shoe.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So that may be tough.
See, this is kind of like, I know you just got back from the optometrist. Number one.
Oh, number one.
Number two.
Mm.
Number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two. Just similarities. Yeah, I think I think you have a real good point that this does look like it's now getting closer to maybe not like completely retro, but more like even just like 2022-ish basketball footwear.
Okay.
And I think also they're going to have to switch up the marketing campaign. Like I loved the campaign they had last year of like the kept receipts and like just all the different ones that they did. I think they were clever. I think they were like a fun touch to it, but I think they did enough of them last year that it's like they can't just do those same moves again.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. I don't know. We'll see. And then I don't know. I mean, with the way things go now, it's like, hey, let's just make a sample. You know, we got maybe like 3-4 different samples.
Put it out
all
there.
Kind of different.
See
Put the first one out.
Says.
Do they like it? Do they hate it? They hate it. Maybe see what they say. Maybe make some small tweaks. Scrap it. Go with the next sample. Very well, you know.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, I just don't like these as much as the AE1. I will be honest. They do look comfy. They do look like my foot would be very
well
secure
supported.
and in place.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I mean, I guess kind of a tough colorway also to see, you know, with the sky blue. And then like, is that like this like clear plastic that's going over it?
Yeah.
You know, almost like it's got like we're catching like a glare, which doesn't seem like a material you would want on a performance shoe, but
hard to tell. You know, we obviously don't want to completely rule it out from like leaks of a sample of a potential, you know, like we don't even know this is it, but I think they've got their work cut out for them avoiding the sophomore slump, especially after Complex named the AE1 sneaker of the year last year, which like, you know, the Complex list is normally the list that everyone references and talks about. So to follow up on being the number one and come with something even half as successful as that, they're going to have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But hey, who knows? Jordan 2 got a lot of hate, and then we got the Jordan 3. So
okay, there's room for a comeback.
Yeah.
So, speaking of people who need a comeback, let's go ahead and talk about Fear of God Athletics and Adidas. What this year might bring for them. After sorry, I just knocked the microphone there. I don't know if that just like, if you're listening to this in your car, if I just shook your whole car, I'm so sorry. After 2024 was the debut year for Fear of God Athletics and Adidas after like announcing the partnership several years prior, long anticipated, and I think it didn't quite live up to the consumer expectations of it. So now they're trying to follow up on that, and I think this is the first footwear we're getting from them. We talked about it last week. The Fear of God Athletics trainer, moccasin inspired with the strap over the top, the beads on the back. It's interesting if you're not following Jerry Lorenzo on Instagram. He actually posted last week like a carousel of images, maybe I don't know how many, just talking about the design process of the shoe and like very candid in the caption there of like everything that went to it. He actually pointed out this right here, this rainbow stitching on the toe, how close this was to what they did on the Fear of God moccasin with Nike, which I was like kind of bold to be working with Adidas and be like, yeah, this kind of looks like what we did with Nike in the past. Of like, as the head of Fear of God Athletic, like it's a little bit of a bold move of like, you're not wrong, but to be just even like acknowledging it is like, okay, you know.
I guess maybe just also trying to be ahead of it or be like, you're probably, you know, some people are going to say it, see it and say it. So I might as well just be like, hey, yeah, it does kind of have some similarities. So maybe, you know, which for that aspect, I mean, yeah, like you said, kind of a bold strategy, but I mean, who knows with how high up he is with Adidas now. if his posts don't go through some sort of
some screening on his personal.
Maybe
I doubt they screen him, but I'm sure he's probably got to be thinking of it somewhat. There's just optics on you at that point when you're working at that level. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, a comeback is needed indeed. I don't know. I just feel like the aesthetic that Fear of God and Jerry Lorenzo have is mildly dated.
Yeah. Well, it just so dominated 2018, 2019, and then 100%. COVID essentials work from home. It's so dominated that it's hard not to feel like they're doing that still,
Yeah. And like, I also understand that there is like, hey, this is my like signature.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like, kind of, just, a couple minutes ago with Salehe, who knows what 5 years down the road is going to be, where it's like, hey, okay, but can we get some, what else are you going to do? How, are you going to kind of stay with the same mold or just incorporate it differently? I just feel like you can kind of see, even with Salehe Bembury, kind of like, okay, well, what I'm doing with Puma, I'm incorporating my signature, but I am adapting and giving you something a little bit newer, where I just feel like Fear of God has been the same thing for the past almost now decade.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, because they stick to that same color palette as well, right? Like, it's the shape and the color palette staying so true to itself that you're like,
that doesn't help.
It feels like it's hard to really do much variation outside of like a general idea of what a Fear of God shoe looks like.
Yeah. And I think really just the biggest thing is like one of those things where it's like, if you have one, are you going to want to get the new because it is different? Or is it different enough? I think that's
if you're not a diehard Fear of God fan, that this is your aesthetic and you want to wear. Yeah. If you just kind of want to have some pieces to like complement your collection. Yeah. Once you've got one, you've got them all kind of.
Yeah. And I mean, like, again, going with like performance, like basketball sneakers, like the LeBrons, the Hardens, the Currys, like every new version is slightly different to be like, oh, I like this look better, so I want to get the new one, even though if I already had one. The same thing like we saw with Yeezys and Jordans and all of these things, is that we evolved to like a new silhouette, and it just kind of seems like you said, same color palette doesn't necessarily help, and you're still getting relatively the same shape. So again, I think if you don't have a Fear of God and you've been into a Fear of God and you've wanted a Fear of God sneaker, then you'll probably enjoy this. Be like, okay, well,
I think
rather than getting the 2021, I'll just get this.
I think the beads on the back are going to still, we were talking about it last week. That's going to be like a deal breaker for some people, but yeah, it is, it's not a bad shoe, but it's just, it feels a lot like what we've seen before. And for that reason, I don't know that I feel like I've seen anything yet that gives me the indication like this year is going to be a big turnaround year for Fear of God Athletics and Adidas, that like it's going to take off and find its mass appeal stride. I think it's still going to be a little niche. It's going to be it's going to be cool when it comes out, but we're just going to go, that's cool. Looks like a Fear of God shoe. All right. And move on from it.
I wonder, I mean, how much, not leeway, but how much, I guess, ease does Fear of God get with the success of Anthony Edwards? He's kind of doing a lot of that, like more like heavy pull and lifting with kind of like the brand in regards to one, I think just Adidas, and then obviously their athletic wear, to allow Fear of God to be more of this kind of like casual linen, casual like sweater wear.
It doesn't need to be the leading performance footwear from Adidas basketball, because you're saying Anthony Edwards, Harden. That's the
exactly.
That's leading a lot of the. I mean, it was the same with Nike, right? When he was doing quote unquote basketball shoes for Nike, you'd see PJ Tucker warming up in a pair of the shoot arounds of the Fear of God 1, but like you didn't see people really playing with them in NBA games or anything. So yeah, it's kind of like it's there to be a basketball shoe, quote, I guess. Well, this one, the trainer specifically, I'm not so sure. But yeah, I think to your point, it's not for Adidas basketball. They're not putting all their eggs in one basket with this, right?
I think so, yeah.
Anthony Edwards can kind of lead the charge a little bit, and this can serve a different audience.
That's what I feel. So hopefully, I mean, I think the spotlight grows bigger on Fear of God at Adidas if the AE2 isn't as, I mean, it's going to be hard to follow the success of the AE1.
Yeah.
But if it isn't great, I think, like I said, the spotlight then is like, okay, well, what else is Adidas at? And then if we start, then it's like, oh, this looks like 2018, 2017 Urban Outfitters. And it's like,
they're in a tough spot because they're coming off a hot year with the AE1 and they need to continue momentum. Otherwise, they're going to lose ground to Nike or New Balance or Puma, whoever's going to come in for the basketball slot.
That's what it feels like. Or at least that's what my speculation is, if I could tinfoil hat it for a little bit.
Well, speaking of Jordan Brand coming in,
they
are not planning on holding back this year. It is the 40-year anniversary of the Jordan 1. And so along with Jordan 1 retros, we have a few other. To name them, here are 6 of the biggest, some rumored, some confirmed releases happening this year. Shattered Backboard 1s, Galaxy Foams, Undefeated 4s, Aqua 8s, Black Toes Reimagine, Black Toe 1s Reimagine, and Band/Bread 85 Jordan 1s. So very true to the 85 cut. So these are 6 of the biggest that I saw rumored re-releases this year that, you know, you go back to, they're trying to restore 2018 Jordan 1 feeling here, right? Had these dropped in 2018, we would be in the streets ripping each other's heads off trying to get these.
It would be deadly.
And now I think they're finding, as we are, it's not so simple as this shoe was once a grail. If we bring it back, it's going to go crazy, right? So like, it all depends on the context in which they bring it back and the shoe itself somewhat.
Yeah, I agree. The shoe itself has a lot to play with it. My hope is that nobody cares about that Shattered Backboard 1.0. I know that's. I'm wondering. I mean, I would be like, because I really like that shoe. I like the Shattered Backboard. I think it's a really good looking shoe. I love the 1.0. The 2.0 was pretty good. Hard to follow the 1.0. And then
off the rails with the 3.0. Yeah.
Everyone's a liar. They said they enjoy the 3.0.
Yeah.
The Shattered Backboard, that 1.0, it's going to be interesting to see, because that one I think is the hardest.
It's going to depend on the numbers. Like Black Toe Jordan 1s, people are not going as crazy for this reimagine, I think, because the stock numbers are high. But Bands, I mean, granted, Bread Jordan 1's classic shoe anyways, but the limited stock is also driving it. So I think they've got the option to drive it in either direction, depending on what they're trying to do with it.
I agree. I hope, fingers crossed, everyone keeps that same energy when the Black Toes drop. Don't get them. Don't want them.
It's people don't want them now, but people are going to miss out on the Bread release the day before, and the Black Toe Day is going to come around. They're going to go, I've always kind of, I've always kind of had a soft spot for the Black Toes. I've always wanted a pair of black, and they did the reimagine with the Air Jordan, the original logo. That's more true. I'm a real big storyteller. Yeah, they're all going to be out there in droves on.
I've been talking about the shoe for a year and a half, and I just have this sinking feeling.
I think we checked last episode. I'll check again.
I think they weren't unattainable.
They were, I think, already still available for purchase. Yeah, below retail. So it could easily get them now. It would be somewhat crazy for these to shoot way past
all of a sudden
retail once they actually release. So I think your odds are still looking good, but still, we want to say keep that same energy, everybody.
Exactly. I think the Galaxy foams and the Aqua 8s are going to sit.
I was just talking to the guys at Ruckus today about the Galaxy foams coming out, and I was telling them, I think what you and I were saying last week, which was that I think if you were there for the original ones and missed out on them, and you've just always wanted to have them for your collection, you're going to be putting in the legwork to buy them. I still, outside of the DMV area, is that Delaware, Maryland, Virginia? I think outside of that area, I would be shocked to see people wearing Galaxy foams below Mason-Dixie line. I just feel like I do not see foams like that out here.
It was an era. 2014, 2013,
something
2015,
like that,
around that time. I remember these were big, but I don't think they're like that anymore.
No.
The Aqua 8, I just think also I think the Grape 8s people go way more hard for.
There's a specific person who wears the 8s. Like, I don't see a lot of 8s. The people who do are putting together some funky fits with them. And it's like, I see what you're doing and I like that you're getting a fit off, but it's a niche audience for those, I'm pretty sure.
The biggest one that I don't know is that Undefeated 4.
I think the rumor going around for a while there was that there were going to be 2 batches of them. One of them with Jumpman on the back, which was the original release. Undefeated had Jumpman on the back, and they're going to retro those in smaller quantities. That'll be the limited one. And then a wider release with Nike Air on the back, which, if true, great for me. I don't care about being true to the original. Put Nike Air on the back of that shoe. I feel like that one, if I had to guess, has good odds of doing well because it does have the limited original nature to it, which, you're going to hit that audience with it, but people also solid colorway for almost everyday wear. Just that, that army olive green Jordan 4. That's, truth be told, that's 90% of the reason why I want those. Like, the Undefeated just story is cool, but also, I'm not crazy about it's got to have the pop of orange. Just an olive green Jordan 4 just looks good to me. So I agree. Of the 6 on this list, well, until I heard the release details of the band Jordan 1, that's the one I probably want to try to get the most, I think.
The band?
No, sorry, the Undefeated Jordan 4s. Before I found out what the band release was going to be like, I would have said that's the one I want to get the most. Now knowing how that release is going to go, I'm just not, I'm not even trying to jump through hoops. I'm going to go Undefeated Jordan 4.
Yeah, I think
I had to choose one.
I would probably, if I had to choose one, I think I would go Undefeated.
Oh, really? Over the Shattered Backboards? I just say it because you were talking so excited about them.
Yeah, I mean, one, it's a 4, and I love my 4s. And like you said, I just think that the 4 is an easier everyday shoe than a 1, and that color is just an easier everyday color.
Ones, if Shattered Backboard, Band or Bread, whatever, and Black Toes, you can get other ones that are close to those colors if you just want that feel and that vibe and you're not trying to get a specific release. An olive green Jordan 4, you don't have as many options for, I don't think, outside of maybe the Craft 4 they did, but then you got all the weird panels all over it. So
that paneling,
It kind of reminds me of the Mushroom Jordan 4s, the women's release that came out forever ago, 6 years ago or whatever those were, which was the light brown ones that have the black X. It's the pair of 4s that I have. I like them just because it's you don't see a lot of 4s in colorways like that. It's just a good looking colorway on the 4. So
I agree. I like the little pop of orange. I think it goes well, but that is, I mean, that's Hunters got that right decades ago. They're like, dude, camel green, bright orange. Turns out it's a sick color combo. I'm like,
turns out,
it is pretty good. So I get, it is kind of weird because pretty much I want all the shoes on the left and could kind of do without the shoes on the right. So
Well,
you lined them up pretty well.
For the audio listeners, the shoes on the left being the shattered backboard ones, the undefeated fours, and the black toe ones. And the ones you could do without, the Galaxy Foams, the Aqua 8s, and the band ones, which, can we do a quick 5 minutes on the band Jordan ones here? Because we're not going to...
Let's do it.
We're not going to do a whole dedicated episode to it. And you and I have been grumbling about these shoes for a week now. Let's put that specific situation aside and just talk about the general Jordan 1 release here.
Okay.
So the band Jordan 1, right, released 40 years ago. A little bit of backstory for everyone listening here. 40 years ago, 1985. It's the shoe that the NBA banned if it wasn't the Airship. It's this one now. Anyways, so Jordan brand. Oh, go ahead.
They banned it because it was not predominantly white. Is that why?
Yeah, that's why. It was not predominantly white. So, there's the story of Michael Jordan goes on Letterman. Have you seen that clip? Talking to Letterman about it. Yeah. Anyway, so there's that.
But most of the league is.
Yeah. Letterman. Okay, so this year, right, they're retroing it. They're bringing it back. This is one of the few Jordan 1 OG colorways that everyone wants, regardless of Jordan 1 popularity in mainstream, right? This is like, you're bringing back the bread ones. The last time they did it was 2016. Was that 9 years later? Everyone who wants a pair of these wants a pair of these. They announce it's not going to be your regular retail price of $180. It's going to be $250. You get some people who are like, that's kind of dumb. And you get other people who are like, I don't care. I need the bread Jordan 1s.
And that's why
and that's part of why they do it. Jordan Brand's justification for this is that they recreated this shoe as accurately as they ever have to the original shape of a 1985 Jordan 1. There are some asterisks in there because in 1985, when they were making the Jordan 1, Jordan 1s were coming from, I think it's 5 or 6 different factories were making the shoe. And so I believe for this one, they took the average of a lot of the proportions of those 5 or 6 originals. And that's what we ended up with here. In my opinion, they're trying to sell the story a little bit too hard here because they're talking at one point of like, they took the designers at Jordan were sacrificing their own pairs of 85 ones to cut them up and get it correct. And they like took apart the tongue of one of them and sent it down to molecular chemists to understand the makeup of the tongue. And I'm like, okay, like, calm down. You already had us like, it's fine. We get that it's very true to the 85.
No one cares that you made it with asbestos at one point. Like
I think there's such a slim audience that would get it and squeeze the tongue and go, yeah, that's how the tongue should be, you know?
And also how many people were alive?
Yeah. So
like what 60-year-olds are you selling the shoe to?
So anyways, I appreciate it. I think it's a little bit weird that I think it was 2020. All-Star was in Chicago that year. New Beginnings pack. You remember the Airship? And they started bringing back what they were calling 85 Jordan 1s. So I don't know what the past 5 years of 85 ones have been. If this is the one that is now like, no, seriously, we actually went back and did the work this time. Now it's very true to the shape. I guess the other ones are just like approximately true to the shape.
Yeah. But also I'm like, you made them.
Yeah. Well, stuff.
You don't have the blueprint.
You ever moved offices? You ever moved house? You lose stuff in a move. Okay. Your factories change.
Call up Scottie Pippen and see if he's got a sketching or something, man. Like,
well, they couldn't. The designers have to sacrifice their own pairs.
I'm like, why the designers called up Michael Jordan? Isn't he trying to sell like 40,000 pairs of sneakers?
He doesn't have the measurements. He doesn't know. So anyways, it's coming back. It's going to be 250. The rumor that's going around right now that has been, everyone's pretty agreed upon, is that there are 10,000 pairs, very limited in nature.
Yeah.
And in the US, they are only releasing at 23 physical retail stores. As of right now, there's no news that these are releasing online. So already, right now, you have to upsell yourself on spending the extra $70. You had to convince yourself, okay, there's 10,000 pairs. It's pretty limited. I'm going to have to put in some legwork to try and get a pair.
Yep.
It's 23 physical stores, no online release. Okay, I'm going to have to figure out what they're doing there.
Yep.
And then Jordan Brand, because they're such a marketing first company, can't help but start marketing a shoe that they've already sold out. We're going to ban the NBA uniforms. The NBA uniforms have this Jumpman on them. We're going to try to get them banned. The NBA wouldn't let us do it. They banned the band. Whatever. We send DJ Khaled a 1 of 23 special box. Our greatest influencer, DJ Khaled. The kids are watching him. They like what he's doing.
Yeah.
They banned the shoes. The box. Yeah, well, he had to call Michael Jordan apparently. Or text him. I don't. The voice memo.
You know the code.
Yeah. A little forced there, Nike. They banned the shoes on the Michael Jordan statue at the United Center in Chicago. They banned the shoes on the Nike website, which I love the thought of average people who are shopping for Jordans and are like, why are there giant black bars over the shoes on the website? And then last week, now the clip's going around, they've got a guy on Nike campus giving citations to employees who are wearing Jordan 1s, which I'm like, tell me you love the smell of your own farts more than like, we're going to go on our own campus to our own employees. And it's like, so I don't know. I'm so over this shoe because maybe I'm just at a point in my life where I don't need this bad. Now, granted, I do have a 2016 pair, so that's probably a factor here, but I was considering getting another pair to have the double up. I just feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm turning more into you where I'm like, this corporation is not going to ask me to spend another $70 and make me do all this legwork to give them that extra $70. Like, no, I don't need all that.
So I love all of the corny marketing.
Quick timeout. I liked this past weekend or something, the video they did where it was like, what if the Jordan 1 had never been banned? And it has Chris Gibbs of Union and Travis Scott and Aleli May. That was the first one I saw that I was like, I dig this. This actually feels cool and makes me excited about it. The rest of it, I would normally be on board with it, but the fact that they're doing it for something that no one's going to be able to get. Okay, back to you.
Okay, yeah. Now, I think the website, because I'm like, it's not just the Jordan 1. It obviously was the bread.
Right.
So they weren't, the NBA wasn't banning all of Jordan 1s. So I was like that. I was kind of like, okay, I kind of see what you're doing, but man, the physical statue with the black box around it, I was like, okay, that was kind of funny.
That's kind of cool.
But I think it could have been a thing, but so college football, Michigan and Ohio State, big rivalry. When they play, Ohio State will go around everywhere on the campus and they put big red X's over every M. You can't go anywhere and not like you'll see that. So it reminded me of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that I was like has so much beautiful like tradition.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's obviously what they were doing, but it reminded me of that, and that would kind of had me like, I'm not really feeling this one.
Yeah.
The citations on campus, I thought was funny. I was okay with that. Again, it's one of those things where I was like, is it funny? Sure. But I'm also just like, again, I feel like Nike's trying to like, I guess kind of like where you're like kind of being like, we're going to play up more of this.
Right.
And I'm like, again, it's like, I'm like, you already have such a cool story.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to embellish it.
Well, and I think the citations thing, had they done like the man on the street undercover, filmed on an iPhone, they're at sneaker shops just doing that to random people, not their own employees, that I think would have been a little bit more virality marketing stunt. But on your own campus with your own employees is kind of like, okay.
Or like, okay, you're going to do that, but across the country, you're going to kind of like you said, this undercover thing, you're going to go to the stores that are going to sell it, and you're just going to start putting duct tape over their posters of the breads or whatever it may be, and get the reaction, stuff like that. I think that would have been better. I think that would have been cooler, because that was more true to, again, the story of the bread, if you do want to say. I guess that was the weird thing to me. I was like, you already have such a really again, Michael Jordan went on David Letterman to talk about that story.
Yeah.
It's clearly insane. Like, it's
Yeah.
such a cool one. Again, people don't even refer to this as the bread one. They call it the band one.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, again, my favorite version of this is with the X's on the bag to make, like, I'm like, that is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that I don't really, I like that they are bringing back that sneaker moment where it is.
But do it for a shoe we can get, please. Get me excited about something I can give you money for.
But that's also the thing. Again, like when you think back to big sneaker moments, they aren't sneaker moments that everyone could get. Because if everyone could get them, it's not a big sneaker moment.
I guess so.
When the Undefeateds came out, it's a big sneaker moment because ain't nobody. Again, wow, I can't even think of the name of the shoe from Back to the Future.
Oh, the Mags.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. The Air Mags. Yeah. Why is that a big moment every time they did it? Because nobody could get it except for the elites and the rich. So unfortunately, what makes a big sneaker moment is a constricted supply. Is like, hey, realistically, you're not going to get this shoe and you'll probably never even get close to this shoe.
Yeah.
But what happens? People go out in droves, like you said, rumored to have 10,000 pairs globally. We did the math on this. Even if those 10,000 pairs were just in the US, for the 23 stores, what was that? Like a couple hundred pairs?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, you're going to go up there. You could easily do quick math. Well, that's 400 people right there. That's 200 and some people.
Yeah.
Why even stand in line? But what do people do? Maybe someone else will leave.
I guess I'm just wondering if that strategy still works in 2025 or if people have caught on to 100%. It and are wise enough to it. Maybe because I'm not going to say it works on everyone. And I'm also not going to say it works on no one because only Siths steal in absolutes. But hear me out. I'm the type of person who, if you got me to pony up the extra $70 and go spend all my time and then it's not there, I'm so pissed off that you wasted all my time that I'm so I'm not giving you any more money to buy another one of your shoes. I know there are people who are like, like the sunken cost fallacy where I'm like, I waited all this time. I got to pick up something from Jordan, you know?
Yeah.
But I just feel like the band one is not the one to do it with. Because I feel like if you're trying to create buzz, that's the one that you could have made enough of and people organically wanted it.
I mean, sure. I think that the bread one does justify this. Now, what I will agree with is when I hear it's 250, my brain immediately is like, nope.
I was immediately like that, but they got me a little bit with the marketing, but they lost me again with the stock of like, if there were even more of them to where it felt like I could get one, I have a pair already. I don't need to spend 250, but you got me on the marketing, but
now here's a weird thing. Okay. I do kind of know where you come from because I just caught this flashback to like me at like an ice skaters game.
Yeah.
And you know how they're skating around the rink and they got the t-shirt can. They're like, make some noise. I remember my mom standing up and making some noise and be like, stand up. And I remember being like, Mom, realistically, like I'm probably like, he's not going to hear me and he can't like, I'm probably not going to get this shirt.
Yeah.
Cause I can just look around.
Worth my energy. Yeah.
So depressing, but kind of the same thing with here. Yes, I'm like, I'm not even going to try.
If you feel like you don't have a shot, you just don't even want to go waste your time.
But that has been the same thing. It's just your response effort is lower. Because, okay, let's say there's only 10,000 pairs. They're 250, but they're on Sneakers app.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to try.
Oh, sure. Yeah. The barrier to entry is lower. Yeah.
All I got to do is pick up my phone.
Well, yes.
And I got it. But now if you're same thing, but instead of that is, you have to drive to this city, or even if it's like, you just got to go stand in line here. Okay. Well, now that response effort is a little different.
Yeah.
And we've done it for shoes less infamous than the bread.
Yeah.
So I think the bread deserves what it is. Now, again, me at 33, I hear 250. My first thing is I'm like, that's almost $300 with tax and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I'm like, that's a steep price. And then, yeah, okay, when I got to go here to then just wait in line to hopefully get it, I'm just like,
that's what,
to me, for me personally, it's not worth it.
yeah. I think that's what I'm trying to wrap my head around in my head. It's like, who is it for? It's for someone, I don't think it's for a younger crowd because I just don't think they love the Jordan 1 and the history of it like this much. So it's for a crowd that's old enough to like remember this and want it, but not a crowd that's so old or like so casual with sneakers now that they're like, that's too much work for me. So it's for the most diehard of the diehard, I guess, who again, I feel like limited or not would have given you that $250 because they just want this shoe already that much, you know?
Probably. But I mean, that is also the tough thing. Hey, I mean, Nike could, obviously they have the ability to just be like, hey, we're going to release this shoe in 2 months. You go on our website, you give us the money right now, you guarantee you'll get a pair.
Okay.
Typically, though, what we know is that people aren't like, that's not going to make
they
people
wouldn't
go
rush to
for
it. Yeah. I get,
so, you know,
I get why they're doing it. It's a Hail Mary year for Jordan Brand of like, here's 6 shoes. If we cannot make the Jordan Brand hot on like the 6 hottest of the hot, that sets the barometer for like what is Jordan Brand in the years to come. How much can we rely on like the best of best retro? So I get why they're doing it. I just think this one feels so limited when they're already losing ground to competitor brands. That's
like, why you got to do it.
It's like it is and it isn't, because at the same time it's like you're gonna hopefully hook in new people and not upset the people that would still be buying Jordan so much by this thing that I'm like, yeah, I've got such a sour taste in my mouth right now. But memory is short. Come 3 months when the shattered backboards are coming out.
Yeah.
How fussy am I still about this?
They know that you're good. Like even if they're like, oh, this really may ruffle feathers and upset some people. One, they probably aren't thinking that at all. Because really, realistically, they're like, you're gonna buy.
Here's their issue though. Here's their issue. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been podcasting with Tanner Young for 7 years. I got to hold a gripe now. I now have to hold a gripe because that's what they want me to do. I can't do it now. No, they're not getting my dollars now. I have to take a stance on this. They don't know that I've become him.
That's where it gets tough. It's easy now when it's February, but come the holiday season.
Are the strong-willed men still strong or are they weak? Let's find out.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So I don't know.
The actual number of the undefeateds keep going up. Oh, my God. It's so easy. Oh, my God. They are literally, oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're actually saying everyone in the world could technically have 2 pairs.
So we'll see. I wanted to talk about it. You and I have been talking about this shoe for like a week now, and I've been stewing for longer than that on.
It is something that immediately turned me off to it, where I was like, oh, yeah. Because, again, I see it and I'm like, oh, that's such a impossible number to get that I'm not going to be able to. And I guess, it always goes back and forth of like, why? Like, what is the reason to make it 10,000? Why not 100,000?
Yeah.
And then if it is 10,000 globally, like, what do you get? Like how, again, okay, there's 23 stores in the US. How many stores outside of the US are getting it? And so, or even just be like, hey, we're going to do 23 stores, US, 2,300 pairs per store. Like, cause I get the 23 stores. Cool. Michael Jordan. But then where's the 10,000? I'm like, so we arbitrarily picked this number to be cool and then just arbitrarily picked this other number. Like
10,000.
I'm like, you did 23 to make it like, why not do a different number? Like maybe, okay, why not put the amount of points that Michael Jordan scored
during in some way?
You know what I mean? To where it's like, even it's like, oh, you only we only made 9,000 pairs. It's like, why? It's like, well, that's how many. Well, obviously he wouldn't score 9,000 just in this, but like
He scored
how many
9,000
total points? How many total points does Michael Jordan have in his career? That's how many pairs of shoes we made.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be like, oh, okay. At least I don't like the number, but at least it's kind of cool. Like at least it makes sense.
Yeah.
That's the part about the 10,000 though. I'm like, why? Why just 10,000? And obviously that is a speculative number. Obviously, Nike hasn't been like, we are only
Confirm
releasing
that or
X
not.
amount of
Yeah,
shoes. So,
we'll see.
yeah.
Sorry, I was looking something up. I just want to leave the listeners with this before we go. So here's the StockX listing for the Jordan 1 Retro High, releasing this year. Size 11 right now. The buy now $697. Last sale though $575. So it looks like it's moving.
Nice.
This is what I wanted to show you though. Okay, we're just gonna look at size 11 real quick. Here's the chart. That's coming down.
Ooh.
That's coming down even from last. That's not even last week. That's 2 days ago when we recorded. So if you want this shoe and you're concerned about not being able to get it, by the time this episode comes out, who knows? But I would just say, don't feel like you got to rush to pay $900. And if you want to get this shoe that badly, do not let anyone tell you that the 2016 version is not good enough. Go for $500. Look at this. What is this? Look at that, how that's dropping. Give me the one. Give me the year to date or something like that. Okay, year to date pretty flat, but still. Consider the 2016s, consider a used pair, whatever it is. If you truly want a pair of bread band Jordan 1s that bad, and you're so frustrated with this year, and you strike out on retail, and you still want to get a pair, consider getting a prior year, even if they're used. I promise you, you will feel just as great having a pair of Jordan 1s. You don't need them to be stitch accurate to 1985. Your uncle's not looking that closely at your feet. That's all I want to say.
And I don't really, weirdly enough, I don't really like the 85 cut, but
I feel like, and maybe this is because of how casual I am, like I would have to have the two side by side to really like kind of see it. Like,
oh yeah, 100%.
when I toggle back and forth, I can see it. But if you just showed me the 85, the only thing that I really know about it is that the heel here goes much more straight up and down.
Yeah.
Versus 2016 kind of has more curve.
Slant.
And the midsole, the white part on the 2016 is more flat. And the 85, the 25 has a little bit of curve to it. And the reds, they're saying that apparently Complex, their podcast last week, when this came out last week, they had in hand a pair of actual 1985s, a pair of 2016s, and a pair of 2025s. Great video to go watch if you want to get nitpicky about what to have, what not. They end the episode saying that like the 2016s are so off, they're so not true to the original. As someone who has a pair of 2016 and has been happily wearing them for like 6 years now, I don't know what it's been. You don't care that much. I promise you, you're going to be happy with them. So,
and if somebody looks at them and like, that's not 2025 version, okay, you call them a cornball because that is some loser activity.
Yeah.
Also, here's also the thing that really always just frustrates me with sneakers and everyone involved. The fact that you can buy them now before release annoys me so, because no sneaker store wants to talk about backdooring, and it's so obvious that every single place backdoors. It is a part of the sneaker community.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, no one wants to just be like, yeah, we backdoor. Is it illegal? No.
It's against the terms. And no one wants to get cut off from the well.
I guess so. But it just, again, so it's such a super limited pair, but for some reason, there's pairs outside. How did those happen? Is it Nike?
No one knows.
Exactly.
Couldn't be Trophy Room. You saw the day they're having.
Woo.
You saw them in the news? I shouldn't say that. You saw their owner in the news? Ooh, not a great time around a big release like this and the backdoor allegations. Anyways,
tough. So that is the thing where it's like, oh, it's a super limited. Isn't that fun? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe if you stop giving them away or selling them for like $1,000, maybe that'd be cool.
Yeah. So there you have it. The episode's called Most Anticipated Sneaker Moments of 2025. I'm so sorry. We just did a solid 20 minutes of like, let me tell you why I hate this sneaker moment that's happening. Whoops. Oops. did the opposite episode. We meant to do, whoops, should have seen that coming.
Sorry, I had too much to drink on Thanksgiving. Whoops a daisy.
So I speak my mind and I'm the bad guy now. Okay, you got me.
They're not teaching that in elementary school.
If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what is one sneaker moment, movement, release, whatever it is happening this year that you are most excited about. And if you don't have one, tell us how you feel about the band/bread Jordan 1s. That should be a fun time in the comments.
Yeah.
You can catch us online at shoepodcast.com. You'll find links to all of our social media and where to listen to the show from there. You can find us on Instagram at shoepodcast, on YouTube, or TikTok. Actually, that's the next one here. On TikTok at shoepodcast. It's back. On YouTube at Shoe Podcast, everywhere except for where we're not. That's the thing. I forgot to say it. And we also have a Discord. If you want to join the discussion with us, it is linked in the episode description down below. We'll be back next week with another one. Thank you everyone so much for listening. Please consider liking, following, subscribing, commenting, whatever it is on your platform. Tanner, you got anything you want to leave the people with before we go?
I do. This one's for the couples. Okay. For that someone special in your life. If you would be a chip, what chip would you be? And if your partner would be a dip, what dip would they be? Or you can vice versa. If you would be a dip, what dip would you be? And what chip would your partner be? Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You got 1 week to think about that before Valentine's Day. So come correct on Valentine's Day.
I'm telling you, you write that in their card.
Magic happens, ladies and gentlemen. Magic happens.
Maybe lock them doors and turn them lights down low.
All right. That is going to do it for us this week. Thank you for checking out another episode of Shoe Podcast. I'm your co-host, Ryan Landry.
I'm your co-host, Andrew Young.
See y'all next week. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Let us know how it is. We'll be there. Halftime show. Bye.
Ah!